Start this morning with 4 ways to find slope. And you may or may not remember that you went over slope last year, but we're just going to review those 4 different types of ways to go. First, we're going to remember what slope is. And slope describes the steepness and the direction of a line. You have 4 different types of slope, and we're going to review those. So the positive slope is starting at the bottom and going up. A negative slope starts at the top of your graph and goes down. 0 goes across your slope, or across your graph and across the y-axis. And then undefined is a vertical line that goes across the x-axis and is straight up and down. So we're going to review your 4 different types of slope while watching Slope Dude. And you may or may not have seen this. So we're going to start Slope Dude.
Welcome to the adventure of Slope Dude. Meet Slope Dude. He loves to ski. We are going to follow him and he'll teach us some important aspects of slope. This is the course he's skiing today. Again, what he says will teach us about slope. You need to remember that Slope Dude always skis toward the right or eastward. When he starts out, he's going uphill. It's hard work. He says puff, puff, positive as he goes up the mountainside. Puff, puff, positive, puff, puff, positive, puff, puff, positive. Now he's at the top. It was puff, puff, positive all the way up the mountain. But now he can look forward to the downhill. On the way down the mountain, he says, nice, negative, nice, negative. And now, after the downhill, he's in for the hardest part of the ski run, the long, flat part. He says, this is 0 fun. This is 0 fun. This is 0 fun. This is 0 fun. And as he finishes the flat part, he doesn't see well ahead, and all of a sudden, he comes to the edge of a cliff. It's straight down. So frightened is he that he says the worst curse word possible in math and in algebra. Undefined. This has been the Adventure of Slope Dude. Remember always what he said during his ski trip. Up the hill or up the slope, he said, puff, puff, positive. On his downhill run, he said, nice, negative. On the long, flat part of the course, he said, this is 0 fun. And finally, when he went over the vertical cliff and went straight down, he yelled the worst curse word of math and algebra, undefined. The uphill is a slope with a positive number. The downhill is a slope with a negative number. The flat part is a slope of 0. And the straight up and down or vertical part is undefined. This has been the Adventure of Slope Dude. Thanks for viewing.
Okay, so we're going to go back and we're going to review the 4 different types of, or 4 different ways you can find slope. The first one we're going to start with is from a graph. And in order to find your slope from a graph, you have to find 2 points on the line. And you have to find 2 points on the line that cross at the axis. So we're going to find 2 points, which is right here at 3.3. You notice it doesn't cross here at 2 or 1 or at 0 or at 1, 2, 3, 4. It crosses again at 5. So we're going to use our 2 points, and we have to count the rise and the run. So we're going to take our graph and we're going to count the rise and the run. So we go where our graph connects at the points. And if you remember, you want to count the boxes, not the lines. So we're going to rise. So we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it goes up 5. It goes up actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then you're going to run. And if you run forward, it's going to be positive. If you're going to have to run back, it's going to be a negative slope. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we have 6 over 8. And we reduce as if possible. And we can reduce our slope. So we have our variable of m, which describes slope. and we can reduce that to 3 over 4. So our slope is 3 over 4. So you're going to take your 2 points and you're going to rise and you're going to run. The second type of way we can find our slope is from 2 points. It says find the slope of the line that passes through the points -3 and 2 and 5 and -4. So the very first thing you're going to do is label x1 and y1, x2 and y2. So you have 2 sets of points here. You have your first set of points and you have your second set of points. So we're going to label those. Your first set, so we have x and y for our first set, x and y for our second set. So we're going to go x1 and y1, x2 and y2. And then number 2 says substitute the numbers in the slope formula. And if you don't remember what the slope formula is, it's m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So now we're going to substitute those numbers into the formula. So my y2 is -4 minus, because that's my formula, y1, which is 2, over x2, which is 5, minus x1, which is -3. So we have 2 negatives now, and we know that 2 negatives make a positive. So we have -4 minus 2, and now we have 5 plus 3, because our 2 negatives make that positive. And -4 minus 2 is -6, and 5 plus 3 is 8. And then number 3 says reduce if possible, and we can reduce our slope. So we're going to have m equals, because m is our variable that introduces the slope, -3 over 4. So our slope is -3 over 4. So we can find slope from our graph using rise and run. We can now find slope from 2 points using our slope formula, which is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. The third way you can find slope is from a table. So it says choose any two, we're going to choose any 2 points from the table. So we're going to choose, I'm going to choose these bottom points, 4 and 6, 9 and 10. So I chose my 2 points. It says choose any 2 points and label x1 and y1, x2 and y2. So I'm going to label my first set of points as x and y, which is my first set of points, and then x and y, which is my second set of points. So I have x1 and y1, I have x2 and y2. And then it says substitute the numbers into the slope formula. And you're going to use the same formula you used for finding the slope with 2 points. y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And we're going to plug in our numbers that go with this formula. So y2 is 10 minus y1, which is 6, over x2, which is 9, minus x1, which is 4. So we have 10 minus 6 is 4, and 9 minus 4 is 5. And then number 4 says reduce if possible. Well, we can't reduce 4 over 5, so m is our variable that signifies slope. So slope equals 4 over 5. And so we've learned that we can find slope from a graph using our rise over run. We learned that we can use it with our substituting our numbers for our formula, our slope formula, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. We learned we can find slope from a table also using our slope formula. Again, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. And then the last way to find slope is from an equation. And if you remember, you may or may not remember, the only way you can graph an equation in linear form is through slope-intercept. And slope-intercept is y equals mx plus b. So we have y equals mx plus b. And if you remember, m is the variable that signifies slope. So in order to solve for slope-intercept, you have to solve for y if necessary. So we have an example. It's 2x plus y equals 6. And we have to get that y by itself because right here my y is by itself. So in order to get that y by itself, we would have to subtract negative 2x. And then my x's would cancel out, so I'd be left with y equals. And if you notice, your x comes first, slope-intercept, so I'm going to bring down my x first when I rewrite my equation. So I'm going to put negative 2x, and if you notice, this is a positive 6, so we're going to do negative 2x plus 6. This is called slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. So you have to identify your m, and your m is any number that's in front of your x, which is going to be any coefficient of the x. So any number in front of your x is going to be your slope. And you notice that number is negative 2. So our slope is negative 2. Now let's just review before we end. What if we don't have a number in front of our x? What number is right there? If you said 1, you are correct. So your slope would equal 1. What if you don't have a number in front of a negative x? Well, then your slope would be a negative 1. And we will review more from finding slope from an equation tomorrow. But on your worksheet, you're going to find slope from a graph. So you find your 2 points and use run over run. You're going to have to look really well on your worksheet because the points are hard to find. If you have any questions, just ask. Use your slope formula when it gives you 2 points. Find the slope of the line that passes through the 2 points. Using your table, choose any 2 points that you want from your table and put it in your slope formula. And then any number in front of your x, when in slope-intercept form, is going to be your slope. So if you have any questions, you can email me or ask me in Google Classroom, and I will be happy to help you. Have a good day, guys. Bye.